Welcome in, gamers. Travis here, helping you deal with mana problems. Dealing with mana problems. If you play Magic, this can be really frustrating. You draw way too much mana, nothing to do with it, or not enough mana, you can't cast anything. It can be really annoying and hard not to get distracted by it. So what are some tips to dealing with it? What are some tips to minimizing, mitigating, and ultimately making this a non-issue? My approach to dealing with mana problems, which I think you will find very useful, is also very simple. Simply identify what we can control and what we can't control. Focus on what we can control and accept what we can't control. Really simple. This is also known as the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Whatever your religious beliefs, that's just good advice for dealing with things in life and for dealing with things in Magic. So the way it works in Magic is seeing what we can't control. We can control all these things leading up to the roll of the dice. We can minimize, we can optimize, we can mitigate. Ultimately, we can't control the roll of the dice, so our focus should be over here on what we can do ahead of time. So focus on what we can control. In Magic, there's a lot that can be done to prevent mana problems before they happen. We have shortage over here, we have surplus over here. We're trying to get exactly between mana flood and mana screw, and that's done with the right mana ratio for the amount of spells in our deck and the cost of those spells and the support we have. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but we're basically trying to just get the right number of lands to spells. There's also a lot of types of different spells and lands that can really help with this. Anything flexible mana cost is super helpful, something that is useful at 1 mana or at 7 mana. That way, if we're mana screwed, we have a usage. If we're flooded, we have a usage. Example is Pale Recluse. For 2 mana, this cycles and gets us a 3rd land. For 6 mana, we get a 4/5 Reach Spider, which is decent at any stage of the game. Similarly, Hypnotic Siren. For 1 mana, we get a 1/1 flyer. For 7 mana, we steal their best creature, give it flying, and +1/+1. Great at any stage of the game. The more flexible cost spells, the more resistant we are to flood and screw. Mana sinks. A mana sink is something you can dump all your mana into. Something like Kessig Wolf Run or Gavany Township or Urza's Factory. They could be spells like Staff of Domination or Figure of Destiny. This way if you draw 10 lands, you still have something to do. Awesome. Play with mana sinks. Finally, there's hand fixers. If you have cards like Brainstorm, which draw and let you put cards back, or Faithless Looting, which let you draw and discard, then a lot of hands will fix themselves, because if you have too many lands, you may be able to get rid of them. If you have not enough lands, you may be able to discard some spells and dig into some more. And then when we actually get to the game, we can mulligan risky hands, mulligan hands that have way too many lands or not enough lands potentially. So those are a few of the things that we can do to prevent mana problems, and that gets really more in depth in the e-course, which you can check out if you want. The final step to that is accepting what we cannot change. We can't change the roll of the die once it's in motion, and if you know anything about math, you should know it's a statistical certainty that eventually you will roll 1 out of 20, that eventually you will roll 2 1s out of 20. Roll enough dice and you will eventually roll 3 straight 1s out of 20. Just given enough repetitions, if you play enough. So there's no reason to be mad about a statistical certainty, and there's no reason to focus our energy when it could be focused over here, right? Magic is a game of skill and luck, and we know this, and this is what makes it fun. It's why we're not just playing chess, because we like the adrenaline of the top deck and the ability for either player to win at different times. We've signed up for it. We've signed up for a game of skill and luck. We can control the skill, let's focus on that. We can't control the luck. Let's have the serenity to accept it. And if you controlled what you can control, you should be happy with the result, win or lose, mana screw or mana flood, mana problems or no. So I hope you found this useful. Let me know what other kind of videos you want to see. Really fun, creative content, and I've got a new video, at least one new video coming every day right now, so see you in the comments. Much love.